I'll try to be fast so that our moderator would not give me the countdown. Okay. Why is this? It went backwards. Huh? Okay. So earlier in the panel, Professor Mike Hardy touched on polarization, and I would be zeroing it on this topic. My topic will be about the need for non-polarizing communicators. Okay, Professor Ann and Professor Jasper in the first session talked about ethics, and this is very important, and many public relations associations have actually formulated guiding principles for communicators. And this would include be honest, be sincere, be open, be transparent, be understandable, be willing to co-create, be capable of making decisions, and also exercise professionalism. Now, the guiding principles are needed because we are living in an increasingly polarized world. The Edelman Trust Barometer results, they divided the countries into highly polarized, moderately polarized, and low polarization. And we would see that the countries with high polarization would include Argentina, US, Spain, Colombia, Sweden, a little bit with South Africa, South Korea, and Brazil. Indonesia, we're very fortunate, is a country low polarization. And this polarization is happening because institutional leaders are being mistrusted. They're not being trusted anymore. Government leaders, journalists, CEOs are being distrusted. If our leaders are being distrusted, then society as a whole becomes polarized. And those that are being trusted are more on an interpersonal level. So you would be trusting your neighbor, your coworkers, and luckily scientists like us are still being trusted. Now, just a bit about the Edelman Trust Barometer. So it looked into 28 countries. There were 32,000 respondents and around 1,150 respondents per country. Now, let's look into, in the 1960s, polarization was already studied. And there was a social scientist called Moscovici, and he conducted a study about group polarization. And he found out that the more a group talks about their position about a topic, the more they become entrenched into their thinking. So you would see this in a diagram like this. So initially, the average opinion, if you did not talk about it with your friends, will be more neutral. But after talking with others about the issue, you become more firm on your stance. And why do groups polarize? Because we would be emphasizing our differences with other people instead of looking what is common. Now, a neuroscience theory stated that everyone starts neutral in relation to an issue. We start at the top of a triangle. Then we start slowly sliding down the triangle. We can slide to the right or to the left, whether favorable or unfavorable to a particular issue. But once we slide down, it is very difficult to climb back up again and have a neutral position. And that's why we become more entrenched into our belief. Now, let us relate this to social media. What social media does is that it increases polarization because it makes it easier to slide down the triangle. Algorithms, echo chambers, reinforced beliefs, confirmatory messages. This is what social media does. And we see here a picture of a boxing rink. So in a boxing rink, there are two opponents fighting. But now, we don't need to use gloves. All we need to do is use our mobile phones to fight other people. Social media brings about polarization and disinformation, affecting the quality of our democracy. The Edelman Trust Barometer gave 4 factors why polarization is happening, and one of them really is the battle for the truth. Proliferation of misinformation, disinformation, fake news. Without a set truth, it is difficult or outright impossible to negotiate with others. Now, this is the statistics from Statistica, and we find out that there are culture war capitals in the world, meaning to say that there's a lot of debate and polarization in social media. And we find out that the capital cities with most polarization, or the countries, will be US, Spain, Argentina, Brazil, South Africa. And that's why it coincides with the Edelman Trust Barometer earlier. So it seems that there's a correlation with the Edelman Trust Barometer with this. Issues like abortion is really polarized. Whether this person is a hero or not a hero, polarized again. Whether we should use mask or no mask during COVID made society polarized. In short, communication can indeed polarize. And that's why we need non-polarizing communicators. The next generation public relations should be able to connect with others. Hence, we have these guiding principles for PR ethics: honesty and sincerity, openness, transparency, be understandable, be open to co-create, be professional, have decision capability. In short, the next generation public relations practitioners must be responsible communicators. I end here.
He promised to finish in 8 minutes. Thank you, Professor Jude.